Well, I was going to put the first report out with an entirely green map. And then the forest rangers from northern Maine said, well, now wait a minute. In our travels, we are roughly seeing about 10% color. And typically, Amanda, the first map is always green. So this is an indicator about how our season is starting off.
So it's kicking off a little early.
Yes, it is.
What are usually the conditions that go into seeing a good fall season?
It's always about our weather going forward. Once we start getting into the fall season, we need to have the short and warm days followed by the long cool nights, which seems to bring about the best color. I know a lot of people have commented they're seeing the swamp maples in the wetlands, and you'll see a tree here and there that's starting to change. But if you think about it, it's typically the same trees that we see every year that start to transition to the fall colors.
What happens in northern Maine, does that give you any indication of what could happen in central Maine or southern Maine?
You have to remember that it progresses from north to south. The color progresses from north to south. And because northern Maine sees color first, is they experience the cooler weather first. I don't know if you remember last year, we had warm days and warm nights for a huge period of time during the fall foliage reporting season. So last year, it seemed like the foliage came all at once.
I know in your report, you often tell people where some of the best spots are to get the great view of the foliage, whether they're from Maine or they're visiting Maine. What are some of your picks right now in northern Maine for the coming week?
Well, right now, we are going to send people up to northern Maine. I mean, it's probably a bit early. I know people want to catch it at peak, but in a couple more weeks, we're going to be sending folks up on the scenic highways and byways in northern Maine. And this really neat thing that I discovered last year is you can do a drive-through solar system with the family, which the Aroostook County has a website for folks to get directions and a map of the planets that they should be looking for in their travels. And that's a road trip. There are bike trips that folks can take up in northern Maine. We have our highest peaks and our most wooded areas up there. So really, what's not to enjoy? We will be actually posting to social media of places for folks to go, other than just what we actually always run on the fall foliage webpage. So we're going to single out specific places for folks to go this year, and perhaps stop at a farm stand or stop at an apple orchard or Maine-made pottery or different things along the way is what our intent is for this year.
And Gale, I know we have talked about this, but you have been doing this for more than 2 decades, obviously a labor of love, but you have observers all over the state who help you. Who are your observers?
I sure do. And it really does take a village. I mean, we have our spotters on the ground, which are our forest rangers and park managers, and they give us the on the ground observations of what they're seeing right now.
So final thoughts here. Looking forward at our fall foliage for the rest of the season, what are you predicting? Are you predicting dull colors, bright colors, a longer season, a shorter season?
I think we're going to have a typical season. I mean, I'm thinking typically we publish about 5 to 6 foliage reports. Last year, we only produced 4. So if we can get beyond the 4-week mark, then I would say we are having a typical fall foliage season.
So if things continue the way they are, though, when do you think peak will be in northern Maine?
Generally, peak is the last week of September into the first week of October. And I dare say, looking at the map, it's probably going to be closer to the last week of September.
Any thoughts on central and southern Maine?
I think central and southern Maine, I'm on the mid coast and I'm looking about, and I think we are typical. We will start seeing peak conditions mid-October. And southern Maine, southern and the very the portion of coastal Maine, probably mid to late October.